Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US tech stocks. And I'm running a little bit late today, so I won't go into the NASDAQ too much. But basically, we've got wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 coming down here for wave A, and then we'll go up for wave B. What I want to do today, because Google had not really bad earnings from their SaaS or cloud section, but it was quite a strong move down for Google. So the other day when I did a video, we looked at all the bearish counts and the bullish counts in the bigger picture. So I'm going to do that today, but I'll still go in and look at the smaller counts, on the 1000 tick and also the 100 tick for each stock. So what I'm going to do is I'll look at all the stocks on the 2-day chart. Nothing special about the 2 days, just a clean canvas. So the 2-day chart, we'll be looking for at the bearish count for stocks, and on the 1-day chart we'll be looking at the bullish count, and then we'll go in and have a look at the 1000 tick and 100 tick as well. Okay, so let's start with Apple here. There's a couple of, well, there's probably more counts than this here as well, but so in the bigger picture here on the 2-day chart for Apple, we've got we've got some stocks that have taken out the top here, not all of them, so there's a good case. Yeah, you can look at them. I mean, you could, the thing is that I got to try to sort of bring them all into roughly the same count if they're doing roughly the same thing, because I understand there's leaders and there's followers, and the leaders will always have much more range than the followers. The followers are safer trades, but the leaders give you that much higher risk but more range in that sense. So it's possible to look at the top here as a 5-wave move up here to have wave 4 and 5 of 3, but it would also be fair to say, based on other markets, that we could view this as wave B. So I think they're both valid at this point, and because I don't have a clear answer based on some clear evidence, I'll have the two of them there. So this would be the bearish count. The bearish count would be that if it was wave 3 up here, then we would come down in an ABC for wave 4 at that point. So it would be, well, we know wave 4s can get complicated too, as we could see over here for this, This is quite complicated, so it could be a rinse and repeat of that. So the damn thing could be anything, really. That's the thing. So that's why we just need to work with the intraday. And the intraday on this particular market has been a little bit tricky in this area here. It could be, you could view it in different ways. But as a bearish count here, one thing is clear, is that we have 5 waves here. So we can look at it either as wave A coming down or wave 1. And then wave 2, we could look at this as wave 1 here, and wave 2 here, and another smaller wave, 5 waves down for this wave 3 here, basically. So this is what we'll need to be careful of. So when we do get 5 waves down here, any retracement at that point, we'll need to be careful about, a sharp drop into a third of that point. So we'll be ready for that trade too, by the way. I'm aware of it. So, but yeah, in the bigger picture, basically as a bearish count, whichever way you look at it, it's further down for Apple. So on the more bullish count, which is also quite bearish as well in its own way, let's go to the 1-day chart for this. And I've been, as we've been looked at this a few times, but in terms of, do I put wave A here or do I put wave A over here? Because I've got to be a little bit mindful, because I can see, not only the stochastics coming down, but that could mean diddly squat anyway. But, we're looking at the S&P and the NASDAQ finding lows shortly, so for their bounce. So we need to look for a low. It's probably highly likely that we'll end up coming down here, but it's not the case just yet. So there's nothing, I can't say that for sure at this particular point. But today we're going to have a look at this one more so here, and there's different ways to arrange this in terms of having wave A over here, but based on the S&P and so on, we're looking for a move up and then a move down, as I've mentioned before. There are markets like Google pushing down that kind of give this particular situation a bit of a hard time, but it's still sort of ever present in the market, so we'll keep a little bit of an eye on that. So yeah, sorry for rambling. On to the 1000 tick chart. So I was looking at it on the 1000 tick because before we had this as the low over here, right, and we're looking at this as wave 1 to the upside, and that still could be, it could be valid, but the size of wave 2 here is really humongous compared to this one over here. It should be, if this was 60%, then this should be 40% at tops, but it's not. It's more than this here in terms of amplitude, so to speak. So I was looking at it, reassessing it as all of wave 1 to here, 2 to here, 3 to here, and 4 to here, and 1 and 2. Because I think we may have also been looking at this as 1 here and looking for an ABC for wave 2. I can't remember here, but whichever way the cookie crumbles. But this low's being breached now, so it takes away that ABC pattern and opens up a more of a bearish pattern for Apple here. Now we could look at this as 1 ABC for 2, and then 1 and 2 again on this note here as well, and moving down further here for this. So yeah, obviously the 170 is a big number, and it will get a bit confusing around here. We've seen, when a market comes down and hits a number, the first bounce is normally the highest. It's like a ball bouncing on the ground, and the second bounce, which we're approaching now, will be smaller, so that could play out in some smaller wave 4, in so to speak, smaller wave 4, and yeah, we don't need that. But anyway, it'll get messy around the 170. But eventually, in terms of a clean pattern, not that one, but this one, it'll at some point it will lock itself, drop below it, and lock itself under, which creates the short trade, and that would take you down to 165 at that point. But we're in the later stages of this particular trend, so we need to be a bit mindful. Let's have a look at the 100 tick chart. Okay, yeah, so this is that low area there, so wave 3 and 4, and down for 1 and ABC back for 2, and then down for 1 and back for 2. So it's going to get a bit it's going to get a bit squashy around this area here, as I mentioned. It still could be bullish at this point, but the fact that it's dropped down below here, I could probably, yeah, I don't know. I mean, once again, if you looked at this as wave 1 up here, this is a pretty damn big wave 2 at this point, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, so it takes away what's happening here is it's taken away the long trade, but I can't do a short trade either at this point. I don't like shorting into support, as I don't like buying into supply either. It doesn't make much sense. So that's Apple, so not a lot to do there. Amazon here, this is the bearish picture where from on a 2-day chart from the low, we're looking at an A and a B and a C wave up here for the big B wave, and an impulse wave down for 1 and 2. And if that's the case, well, then we'll come down for wave C that will take the low out here. Now, would that happen? I mean, as I've always sort of say, is that there's nothing too high and nothing too low, and anything can possibly happen in the markets. So you've just got to be prepared for everything. And I think it's important not to attach yourself to to anything in particular. At the end of the day, it's really about managing your money and looking for trade setups. The Elliott is quite sort of helpful, as same as other indicators and so on. But at the end of the day, it's not a good idea to become attached or marry. I don't like to use the word marriage because it's a nice thing. So attachment is not so nice. It's a little bit more negative context. So so being attached to a particular idea in the markets can be dangerous. So we'll keep an eye on this, because the other thing that what happens in a bearish situation is that it'll come back and test this consolidation. So if it does drop here, it's going to come back and test it. That's where we can look at it at that point. So we do need to have like a little 5 waves here, like sort of over here it's moved down, it goes back and tests the supply. There's a bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Easy in hindsight, isn't it? But it's kind of in here that we want to sneak into, get that short trade. So we need to get it after the retest in this case. So be aware of that. But on the daily chart for the bullish pattern, it's also a little bit the same as well. So I was looking. This was one of the things, I was looking for wave B to be over here. This is sort of how I had it. I think I had it like this, and we're looking for an ABC to come up here, but I just didn't get it. So this is kind of taking away that idea, and we need to bring it in a little bit further over here for this. So this could actually just give us the same length from here down to here, so to speak. So coming into 110 would probably be right. Obviously you don't want to short it into 120, so you'll need to wait for a setup to play out at that point. This was the little retest here that I missed. It's just that I'm not in the US and I can't do everything and be on top of everything completely on the time, but if I keep pointing things out, they become obvious at some point. So let's go from the daily chart to the 1000, stay on track. So we knew that this move here was corrective because it was in 3 waves. I just thought we may be having it as an A wave, a B wave, and then moving up here, but taking this low out here changes that dynamic. So I brought the B wave across. So next session we've got earnings for this company. So look, I don't know what I have no idea. I haven't even sort of looked at what the general consensus of the analysts are, and that can also be a bit of a guessing game, and there's a lot of other factors that come into that as well. So that's always a little bit tricky, but I don't think I can see this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 down here, because this has got the overlap here, but this is what happens at big numbers, and number 3 is a big number to me. So it's possible to have that as a low, but otherwise 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3, there'll be some sort of bounce here, and 4. But that earnings aftermarket, so we'll see how that goes. But just generally speaking, this would be the pattern coming down here. We know the 50-60% is a little bit lower, but that's how that's looking at the moment. So further downside for Amazon and Nvidia on a 2-day chart. So it's hard to see this as being bearish. I mean, I can see it coming down, but as I pointed out too, is that this particular move last time that came down to the the 62% here, so we can't call it a wave 4, so it has to be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 over here. So, and obviously these guys are sort of spearheading the the AI trend in a way. So so just some clear profit taking up there, and you know, we can see we've got the beginning, the middle of the trend in here, and then the end of the trend where it, you know, starts getting overlapping wave structures and starts creeping. So you can kind of see that creep. It doesn't always happen, but you know, when it does happen, you start seeing, you know, wave fours that overlap. Then then you know that the end is near. So to look at this as an A and a B and a C wave down here would looks about right, doesn't it? You know. So you could short new lows here. Let's just go in and take a closer look at all of this. So I want to go to the 1-day chart, which is a little bit sort of different. So I've had this B wave over here, and Amazon's telling me that that's not the case. So, you know, we'll need to give this some consideration and put this over here, and this one over here. We may need to look at this as more of an impulse wave to the downside now. We've still got some more work to do in here, but let's just go in and have a look at the intraday on 1000 ticks. So in this instance here, I was looking for, as you may know, the A wave here, and then oh no, I wasn't. Sorry, it was a bit there. Yeah, sorry. Let me think about this for a moment. So I was actually looking at this here as, not sure about not that one, but looking at this as wave 1 to the upside, and that's still possible, right? But I thought that because of what's going on, that we would see further downside. So I had a bit of a look at this trend here, and it does appear going from 1000 ticks, so I won't go to 100, but go to 10 ticks, and I could count it down here for at this stage. Let me just go in here a bit further. Yeah, so I just started to count that down, and it seemed to be quite sort of impulsive. Put that down here. So yeah, I could count this as 1 and 2, and then I looked at all of this and pulled that out, so that was 1 and 2 here. Third wave's a little bit small, that's a bit of an issue, but there's 5 waves there, and then 4 and 1 and 2, and yeah, wave 3's a bit, where did I get that from? There might be another low coming in here, but anyway, basically it's not basically this move is not corrective in that sense. It's not an A and a B and a C wave. Do you know what I mean? It's not the case. So let's go back to the 1000. Sorry for that side show. Yeah, so this is having this as wave 1. We're looking at this as an ABC correction. I could do that, and I think I did it on the 100 tick chart, so we will have a look at it. But I'm thinking that down here somewhere, pretty much got the low here somewhere, that we'll get some sort of ABC back here, and then down for wave 3, 4, and 5. Now, I'm not a big fan of shorting into big numbers, because they can snap back at you pretty quick. And so I think what we need to do, even if this is incorrect here, then what would happen, the reason that I counted this down here from the top here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is basically to put this here as also wave 1 and 2 over here. So we're looking for, instead of looking for a B wave up here, we look for more of a corrective pattern across this space here in some way or another, and then move down at that point. That's what I'm thinking, and that will take us back to not so much the daily chart here, but more so the 2-day chart here. Just going back here for a moment, see this 1 and 2 here. So this one here, this appears to be 5 waves coming down into here. So once that's finished, then we can look for an ABC pattern. I think that needs to go over here, doesn't it? Wave 2 over here, and then we can move down from that point. So a bit of work to do at that 400 level. So I don't think we need we don't need to rush into it, but we do need to be. Yeah, I mean, if we end up back up here, well, then we'll look at going long. But in the meantime, I just thought I'd map out the bearish side of things, and we don't need to make any decisions early in the piece. So when we're working with big numbers, we work with group 1 above here, 1, 2, and 3, and then group 2 here. That's the swing range for that. And in this process, we want it to basically have its battle, and this becomes the front line, and the winner will either have this number as support or resistance. It will dominate that number, and that's when we can move in. But it's not good to be involved here. And of course, as a trader, I'd certainly be looking to go long above this top here. So let's just have a look at the 100 ticks. If we had that as wave 1 to the upside, the only way that could play out here now would be looking at this here as the A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave over here for this wave 2. But it's too close to the low here, and we've come down too far, so it's not likely. It's possible and plausible, because it actually is quite a nice move down for wave 2. But yeah, so the rest of the market's got a bit of a bearish situation to it, even though it's ready to sort of click back up a little bit. So nothing really to do here at this point on that, unfortunately. And then we come to Facebook. So with Facebook here, there's a couple of ways we can look at this top, but this would be the bearish case. So it would have 5 waves down here with an A wave and a B wave and a C wave up here for the B wave. So then we'll come all the way down for the C wave. It seems highly unlikely, but I mean, we never expected this either, to come down so fast and sharp. So yeah, let's have a look at the daily chart for this now and just drill in. So the bullish pattern can be, I've got a couple of different things here which I just need to, first of all, I have this here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for 1 here, right? And then we're looking for wave 2 to come back roughly, and then wave 3, 4, and 5. And that was okay because the market was sort of bullish, but that doesn't seem to be the case now that this has moved down past 5 waves moving down. So that's a bit of an issue. So I could put, it has made a little bit of a new high above this one here. So it is possible to put this here as wave 5 of 1, but there's another way to look at this as well. So I'm going to go to the 1000 ticks and look at it another way, and I just want to also explain my rationale behind that. So in this case here, it's looking at wave 1 over here with an A wave here and then a B wave over here, and it did take the top out here, I understand that. And in this case, we would look down as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5 for third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave down here for wave 2. A little bit unusual for a wave 1 and 2 of primary degree to do an expanded flat as wave 2. I understand that, and that's pretty rare, and it's probably wrong, but it's just not counting very well as wave 1 and wave 2 up here. So yeah, there's a couple of different ways to look at it, but I think I'll go back when I get to situations where counts can be this or could be that. I just revert back to the trading levels, and it's all about this number here, and this is group 1 and group 2 in here. Don't particularly need this number here. So that's the swing range for the market to be at this pattern. So really we've had the arrival up here, and it's kind of probably, you'd have to say that it's at least 2/3 of the way through here or something of that nature. So Of course, we can buy new highs, but it looks like she wants to come down. So, yeah, it'll be something like this here, but we'll see how it goes. I certainly don't want to sort of get involved in it here at this point. I thought, well, if it's going to move up there, that's fine. We'll get involved in that, but otherwise, I think we're looking for a move above the 320, which we didn't get. So on 100 ticks, so this is another way to look at it. This is kind of this is just another way to look at it. This is a little bit like what the S&P and the NASDAQ are doing. They're giving that 5 waves down, and then I've got this 5 waves down here. So taking all the counts into consideration, one of them can come back to here and then go down. One of them can go up to here and then go down, and then another one can go all the way up here and go down. That's what it all boils down to. And I didn't really explain the other situation coming back in here, actually. The reason that I've put wave 1 over here, this move over here, is because a lot of the other markets, like well, Apple, for example, there's a lot of other markets that had highs in August and September over here, and they've got corrections over here. So this kind of brings it into line with a lot of the other markets. That's why I like it. Yeah, I understand that this could be counted in different ways, and it could play out in different ways. And also understand that it could get quite messy around the 300 here again as well. So what we do want to see is some sort of clean break down here somewhere eventually, and then an impulse wave over here, and then that will help us build further to the further to the upside at that point. So we don't have that yet. We're in the quagmire here with all of this, so we don't need to do anything here. And yeah, I mean, also, yeah, anyway, I'll talk about that more later. So Netflix here, this is the bearish count. So the bearish count would have 1, 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the third wave, fourth wave, and the fifth wave down here. I think it's quite a nice 5-wave structure down here. Yes, you can count it as an ABC as well, but you know, it's when you got 2 counts like that, it just makes you research a little bit deeper until you can find out, you know, where the market's going. So that's why I normally just work with the intraday patterns when there's confusion at one bigger level there that can't be resolved. You know, it has pulled back up to, you know, would expect it to stall at that point, you know, the 61.8% where it is at the moment up here. So that's all sort of good. Quite often wave 1 goes to the 61.8% as well, so that's not very helpful, but you know, it was a point at the 500 that we're looking for. So in this bearish pattern, this would be wave 1 here with an ABC for wave 2, and then down for wave 1 and back for wave 2. And yeah, so you can come down further in this count, and on the daily chart we're looking at it slightly different count, just using this one down here as that's the difference between the 2 counts to the upside. But having wave 1 up here and bringing that in line with, you know, the Amazons and the Apples and those sorts of things, and looking for a larger ABC pattern here. So yeah, so in this case we're looking for an ABC pattern here coming back up into supply, but I think I'm going to have to bring that down a little bit and tone that down. And I know we've got a long trade in here that we're going to have to exit, so we'll talk about that in a moment. So from this top here down to here, it's sitting right on the 50% here, and this will be the 61.8% up here. This move here will also be the 61.8% of this previous move here as well. So this little block is in here, the little pocket is in there. So there's a lot going on in this space at the moment. So we really need, because the other markets are really much weaker, so that means that we'll need to bring this down here as well. So this is likely to come down now, and we need to go in and have a look at that. So on the 1000 tick first, and the 1000 tick here, so we just talked about the 50-60%, so that's sitting there. Yeah, this is a little bit hard to understand because we can't see inside this strong move here, but it's different. I've been looking at it like this, and if I had it like this, that gives us another little move to the upside. If however, I put this over here and this here, then we could look at this as the top being in play. So I'm just going to go to 100 ticks, and yeah, I'll just bring this back out. So yeah, because the other markets have gone a little bit sort of bearish, I'm expecting the NASDAQ and the S&P to have a bit of a bounce. So we could go up, but basically now I want to look at this as wave A here with an ABC here for wave B, and then 1 and ABC for 2, 3, 4, 5, and put a top in there. Look, it may not be the top, and I understand that. But we need to protect this particular position here. So this is the pocket for the previous trend, and this is the larger trend here at 50-60. So yeah, coming in there is quite so basically, you know, if I was going to put a stop on this here, I would wait for the first low below the level, and then I'll put the stop. So that's what we need to do here, because it's quite possible that it could just come down here and then push up again at that point, right? And then if we got out now and it did that, then we would look a bit sort of stupid. I don't mind looking stupid, but what the point is that we need to take, it's not about always being right or wrong, it's a matter of taking the next logical step, and as far as I can see, this would be the next logical step. So we're not panicking, we're just going, okay, well, you know, if we were going to get out, you know, what would be the best way to do that? So that's what we'll do at this point. You could get out now if you wanted to. I'm not quite sure about this count. You know, I've counted it on an intraday basis as 1 and ABC for 2 here, up for 3, 4, 5. That can be a top there. I don't have enough information for this. At the same time, it could certainly move up high as well, and that's why we're going about it like this here. Okay, so over to Google. Now Google fell out of bed, and we've had this count here before. When the last time we looked at the bearish count, we were looking at it as an A and a B, and then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 up here for C of B. So in fact that bearish count sort of, you know, could be in play. If that was the case, then it hasn't taken out the top here. Like I said, some of the markets have taken out the previous top. Some have moved up quite high, some halfway, some lower. All sorts of things have been going on, really. So this would be the C wave down here for this, if that was going to be the case. On the bullish side of the market, if we go to the one-day chart here, and on the one-day chart we've got this counting up as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then 5. So basically last time we spoke I had this as wave 1 sitting on this top here, right? And I was looking for wave 2 to pull back here and then to move up with Meta and a few others at that point. But obviously that's not happening, but just needed to go back over my mistakes. And yeah, so that means that it hasn't really made a, you know, humongous move above the top there to put that in as a wave 5, has it? Do you know what I mean? But that's obviously the next best step, because all this counts here as, you know, 5 waves. So this would be this is the only way that it could be counted. So we have to put wave 5 in here, and that means it would have to put wave 1 there. So we're not going to end up there, we're going to end up end up bouncing off this support down here basically at some point, and then we'll get some sort of B wave here and then a C wave over here that could get pulled down to the 100 as well. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Wasn't expecting, I mean, its earnings weren't that horrible actually. It just didn't meet, they probably had higher expectations and they weren't met, you know. So yeah, so that's that. So let's go in and pull this apart, what's actually happening here. So we don't need this wave 1 here now. That's just, I just needed to explain my mistakes and what I'm doing about them and those sorts of things. So we're going to put this on the bullish side. We're going to put wave 1 here, and we're going to put wave 2 down here for this. So I think the 61.8% is around the 110 mark or something. So it would be logical to look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and then down for 3, 4, 5 here. So it's a little bit, you know, how you've got these 1s and 2s here. We need these 4s and 5s to play out here. So it will shake itself down to the 120 for a bounce, come back up and check the supply area here for that at some point, and then come down again. That's sort of how I see it, and we'll just drill into that a little further into the 100 ticks. And yeah, so back over here we've got the tops. We've got 1 and 2, 5 waves down. This is where we had wave C, and I was looking for 5 waves up there. We're kind of getting there, but we just didn't get, you know, we had this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and looking for wave 5 here. Just didn't get it, and its earnings came out and got us there. So yeah, 1 and 2. I haven't had time to look inside of this just yet, but what do we have here? So it looks like a little, looks like 5 waves there, doesn't it? So if that's 5 waves, an A wave, and then an A, B, C for the B wave, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wonder if that needs to go there. If that's the case, then we're going to look at this here as, let me just have a look at that a bit closer. I suppose it belongs to this as 1 and 2, I guess, and 3, 4, 5, A, B, C for 4, 5. I suppose that's the best fit. I'm going to have to do some time on that, but this is actually quite a nice little sort of short trade here. See this little, at this number here, would it be really I mean, yeah, that number, but we'll have to do it 20. The same thing will happen again here. So basically the market came down, bounced off it, and so that would create the short trade, but we want to put that at 125. That's the better thing to do at this point. So what have I done wrong here? Can I put that back up there and look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2? I'm not quite sure here, but at that 125, it's just going to get a bit messy, that's all. Probably be something like, this would be 1 and 2 in here, so this will be a little 3, 4, 5 here. So that's that little leg. This is likely to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there'll be this one here. So it'll be something like this here, I think, maybe even to 103, and then back here for this wave 4, and then down here. So you could go short, but you have to watch that blue wave 4 rally here that can come back up that high. Oh, that's where that was, the 126.50. Wonder where that was. So it could come back up this high. It doesn't have to, but it could. And then it'll be down here at this, and then this will be here, and then this will be wave 4 over here, and so on. It'll be something like this. I mean, the trouble is the moves happened, you know what I mean? That's the problem. We're just picking up the crumbs, and that's a bit dangerous. So I won't call anything on that. And we come to Microsoft. So Microsoft is one that's also just taken out the top here. So I could look at it as wave 3 here and a 4 here, and then wave 5 up and wave 5 here. So that could be a top here. This is the bearish pattern, of course. So this this would be 3, 4, and 5 here for this. Or we could line it up with the other markets, which is also, you know, something I think that's a strong case really, is having this as wave A here and B up here, and wave C coming down for wave 4 over here, in that, if that was going to be the bearish case. In either way, being it B or 5 up here, it would still come down at this point, you know. In terms of the count here, I've had to look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 here, then 5 waves in the third wave, 4th and 5th. So it's a little bit iffy on that side of it, really, counting that as a corrective pattern to the upside. But obviously it's at an old high, and you know, it's going to fluctuate around that particular space. Let's go in and have a look at the bullish count. The bullish count is still pretty much sort of how I was sort of thinking the other markets would play out, in terms of having a move up here. So this market has done it here, and I've also had this as an alternative wave 4 sitting in here as well, but I don't need to talk about that today. So we understand there's a lot of pressure on the markets at the moment, so looking at it as an A here, then an A and a B and a C wave here, and then coming down here, that's been the sort of original count. So let's just go into the intraday and check on those. So on the 1000 tick chart here, so we've got this as wave A here with an A and a B and a C wave up here. So this would have a little bit more to play out here. Will it occur? I mean, it looks like it's got 1 and 2 here, and then the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th here, then the 4th here, and then the 5th here, then that would be it, you know. And then would come down at that point. That's sort of how we've had it, and we'll see, you know. I mean, the other way, could it just top out here in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here? That's possible as well. I'm just going to think about that for a little bit. I'll put that there. So it could, you know, if it does move up, it could have 1 move up, but possibly 2 at this point. Let me just go to the 100 ticks here. So look, if you did go long here, then the stop needs to go here at that point. Okay, it's just the way that is. So basically we're looking at wave 1 here, and wave 2 over here, and 1 and 2, and obviously we've had that sharp shot to the upside. So it looks a bit bearish on this side. I could look at this as being bullish or bearish. So anyway, the stop will go there. Let's just see if it can climb, you know, the mountain up here, and then there'll be this wave forward. We'll see, just see how it goes. But basically, that's the pattern that I've been thinking about. And yeah, but it may end. I could see a space where it can end on this one as well. I mean, it doesn't really give us 5 waves to the upside unless we look at this in some other way. In some other way here. Can we look at that as a triangle pattern somehow? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got to go from that point. Can we go an A and a B and a C and a D and an E? We could do, but this doesn't really give us a nice 3-wave move here. So we're pretty much sort of stuck on this one, really. So I'll just leave it at this point. But yeah, look, that's the number to take the money off the table at. Well, put it underneath at this point because markets are weak. So that's Microsoft and Tesla. So you've seen this before. So the bearish count here would be this 2-day chart with, I mean, the thing here to also appreciate is that this move from the top to the bottom is not 5 waves. It's a corrective pattern. So yeah, sure, I mean, we could come down here and even take out the low here, but it's still corrective. Do you know what I mean? It's just some massive corrective pattern. So that's possible at this point. And if this was an A and a B and a C up here, then this would be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So it does make it a little bit sort of interesting at this point, coming down here. So we'd have to find a way to get into the short trade. I've got it as an A and a B and a C wave here. But, excuse me. I could also look at this as a larger triangle pattern here as well. That's also possible, so we'll just keep that in mind as well. But we need to sort of tie that into the rest of the world as well, depending if, I mean, it's obviously moving together with most of them, do you know what I mean? So we'll see, you know, we could get this down as an ABC pattern coming down here. Let me just check on something here. Yeah, that pulled back to the 1.8%, pretty much sort of spot on. I mean, the thing with triangles is that they can kind of end up, I've got that upside down. The trouble with triangles is that they don't normally, that would be, yeah, I'd probably say, I was going to say the 78.6 is kind of a common thing because this would be too, this would be too small here. It would be more like this pattern here for a triangle. If we're going to put this, copy this wave C here for that, we'll just keep an eye on it. Okay, so the bullish count for this, which is a bit flimsy, but we'll go there anyway. So that's looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I was looking at this being the A wave here, then an A wave here, and then an A, B, C for the B wave here, and then the C wave up here, and then coming down. But that may not be the case, you know, based on what I can see. So that would mean that we could view this in terms of the next logical step would be looking at this here as, sorry for such a long video, to once this B wave comes in, that would be wave 3 here, and then we would have a wave 4 here, and then a wave 5 down here. Okay, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's something we need to keep an eye on, and we'll go to 1,000 ticks. So we were looking at this in a couple of different ways. We were looking at this being a B wave low in here, but and we also, yeah, so anyway, if that low is breached, which is, well, it's possible, as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, we can put the 2 over here now. It makes a nice ABC pattern here, but obviously if it drops down through this low here, then it forces this move here to be an ABC pattern. So the long trade would be above here, and yeah, I mean, you could say the short trade could be below here, but shorting into big numbers is also a little bit, there's not much, the risk to the reward factor is not that crash hot, so you need to take that in consideration. The other way that we're looking at this was a wave 4, so go into 100 ticks. So we're looking at this in 2 different ways, really. So this was the other way. We're looking at it as an A and a B and a C. I put wave 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 coming down here. So we could look at it as the B wave. We could now also look at it as wave 3 here as well. So there's a few different ways to look at this. So I would expect in one way or another for us to come down, go back up here at least, and then we've got to figure out if we go down again from that point or we continue up at that point. So it'll be something like this. So there's not a lot to do here. This market is actually trapped in group 1 above, and group 2 here looks really quite big here at 165, roughly 72 in here and 80 here. So it's quite a big space when you're looking at it on 100 ticks. But that's what we need to do. Really, that will be the swing range for anything that happens here. I always find it's better and safer just to let it mature in this space, because it's just arrived here. Let it mature in this space, and the longer you wait, the clearer you'll see the opportunity. If you think that you're going to go long or go short, but you're not sure, I suggest that you do not, and you wait. That's the trick. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for such a long video. Cheers.